Gee, it all sounds so sweet and benign. Ask them a few questions, have them stand up for a while, take their shirt off, give them a little cold maybe. 300-pound Iraqi general, stuffed headfirst into a sleeping bag, bound up with electrical wires, sat on by an Army warrant officer, hand put over his face every time he screamed out for Allah, released, put back in, died.
Thank you.
Dead. That was a stress position. Guy was prosecuted, got 6 months for some orders violations, but basically was released because it was an authorized stress position. Taxi driver Diwali hung from the ceiling by his wrists. 5 days after he's not captured, but turned over to American forces in exchange for a ransom. Beaten to a point where, according to the autopsy by an Army doctor, his legs are pulpified, dead. By the DOD's own count, approximately 40 people have been killed in the hands of the United States in detention as homicides. So let's not kid ourselves that this is some sort of benign search for the truth. Torture was never intended to be that. Torture was intended originally to be an effort to get false confessions. You're a heretic, you're a traitor to the king, you're a witch. We've given a bad name to torture. We've misapplied torture. We're trying to use it to find the truth, for Pete's sake. My experience has been in doing these kinds of things and with these kinds of groups that there are a number of people who have a number of different points of view about it. Some of you are moved by history, tradition. Some of you are moved by the morality of it, the moral imperative. Some of you are moved by diplomacy. Some of you are simply moved by the practicality of it. Are there better methods, or is this the best method? What I want to do is address 6 aspects of torture or benign interrogation, whatever you want to call it, stuffing people in sleeping bags head first and binding them up. And then give each of you the opportunity to pick the one that you kind of think works, and then my colleagues will hone in on some of them. First one is that it inflames, enrages the enemy, and causes them not to surrender. There's a reason the Nazis surrendered to the Americans on the Eastern Front and not to the Russians. In the first Iraq War, tens of thousands of Iraqis surrendered to us because they knew that they would be treated decently. My friends, they're not surrendering to us anymore. It endangers our own troops. We're the ones on the front lines. It's U.S. troops at the pointy end of the spear, forward deployed in more locations, on more occasions, in greater numbers than all the other forces of this world combined. There was a reason that the United States wanted there to be a Geneva Convention. It wasn't to protect them from us. It was to protect us from them. And we've lost that. John McCain said that he believes that he was treated incrementally better because the Vietnamese knew, North Vietnam knew, that we were abiding by the Geneva Conventions in spite of the fact we didn't have to, according to the arguments based on the same rationale that the administration uses now. It interferes with our ability to build coalitions. In the future, wars are going to be fought by coalition forces. The United States should not and cannot go alone. We were just put on the list of human rights violators by Canada. We got them to take us off, but the point is Canada, the Aussies, the Brits aren't going to want to fight with us if they can't expect us to comply with the Geneva Conventions, and we're going to be out there at the pointy end of the spear all by our lone. It causes Americans to become torturers. It's one thing for us to send our good men and women into battle and ask them to give that last full measure of devotion. It's another thing to send them into battle and ask them to become torturers and come home that way. Fifthly, it's simply not the most effective method. People say, does torture work? Does torture work isn't the right question. The question is there another more effective way to do it? Let me quote to you from, say, General Petraeus, who one would think would know something about it. Some may argue that we would be more effective if we sanctioned torture or other expedient methods to obtain information from the enemy. They would be wrong. Beyond the basic fact that such actions are illegal, history shows that they are frequently neither useful nor necessary.
One.
The fight depends on securing the Boy, that went fast. I just got into this. The fight depends on securing the populations, which must understand that we, not our enemies, occupy the high moral ground. And then finally, and I'd like to return to this because I think it's, if I get another chance, I think it's the most important issue. This is an asymmetric war. In an asymmetric war, you want to pit your greatest strength against the enemy's greatest weakness. Fortunately, in this war, that works for us, if we will do it. Because our greatest strength is our ideas and our ideals. The enemy is completely bereft of ideas and ideals. Thomas Paine said in 1776, "The cause of America is the cause of all mankind." Several hundred years later, that great geopolitical commentator Bono said, "America isn't just a country, it's an idea."
Okay, thank you.